Good afternoon, everyone. This is Luke Robinson, meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Missoula, Montana, with your winter planning briefing for November 26th. To start off with, I would show the weather threat matrix for the next few days. And as you can tell, for areas of northwest Montana and southwest Montana and west central Montana, as well as Lemhi County, will be our primary focus for the holiday travel for tomorrow. For northwest Montana and southwest Montana, our main concern here will be winds and blowing snow, particularly along the Continental Divide. And then we're also looking at elevated winds for west central Montana and Lemhi County with a low impact. So the weather impact summary. I'm going to mainly be focusing on tonight through Thursday morning for this briefing as our highest impact period in regards to the weather. So starting tonight and early tomorrow morning, we're going to be looking at increasing gusty northeast winds across all of western Montana, potentially damaging winds across northwest Montana, especially the east side of Flathead Lake. And it could also be looking at wave heights increasing to 6 feet with isolated higher waves expected on Flathead Lake. And this will be during the day tomorrow. We're also looking at some accumulating snow, mainly across the Continental Divide and particularly around Mirage Pass. We are also looking at the gusty winds up there as well, so we will be looking at some blowing snow and reduced visibility. And that primary focus will be Wednesday through Thursday morning. And then we're looking at scattered light snow showers and breezy east winds to continue, especially along the Continental Divide of southwest Montana and Lemhi County during the day on Thursday and Friday. There is an outside chance that Friday morning we could see some of that lighter snow extending further west to the Idaho border, so that would impact the Missoula and Bitterroot valleys. So to start off with, I'll show you some of the wind speeds and wind gusts that we are expecting to occur during this time period, as I mentioned in the previous slide. This is northwest Montana. So what you're seeing on the left are your wind directions and the sustained wind speeds. And then on the right, you're looking at the potential wind gusts. Now, not everyone's going to see exactly what number we have for your location on the right for wind gusts. This is just what the highest probability of the strongest winds could be. And having said that, we are also looking at potential for some higher wind gusts for isolated areas not particularly mentioned on this graph. So for instance, for areas around the southern half of Flathead Lake, we are looking at the potential for mountain waves to develop, and in a few isolated areas you could see wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, maybe even higher. And then also we're looking at potential for mountain waves along Highway 93 from Eureka to Whitefish. Now typically with these mountain wave wind gusts, they are very isolated and they typically only impact a very small area. But there is a high probability of seeing power outages and several trees being blown down. And we could also see those trees and power line issues in other areas outside of these two locations that I just pointed out. It's just these two locations have the highest potential to see those extreme damaging winds. Another point to point out for Flathead Lake, we are looking at least 6 foot waves, particularly along the west shore and the southern half of the lake. And we could see some of those waves actually exceeding 6 feet. And also, due to the winds and the wave heights, areas around the southwestern portion of the lake could see freezing spray from the waves crashing on shore. So roads that are just along the lake could see some ice forming on them, and if anyone have any cars parked right along the lake, could have ice forming on their vehicles, and this would be during the day on Wednesday. and Wednesday night. For west central Montana, southwest Montana, we're also looking at some gusty winds, but not near as strong as what we're expecting across northwest Montana. But areas around Missoula, Alberton, Evero Hill, St. Ignatius, Celia Lake, just to name a few, we could see some wind gusts approaching 40 miles per hour, if not exceeding 40 miles per hour for short periods of time. So I mentioned the snow, even though other than right along the Continental Divide, snow is not a big problem with this particular winter storm, but areas around Mirage Pass could see 12 to 18 inches of snow starting Tuesday night through Thursday morning, and then adding in the gusty winds, like I mentioned in a few slides before, we are looking at reduced visibility due to blowing snow. We're not expecting too much snow to accumulate that much further west from Mirage Pass on Highway 2. So as you can see here, West Glacier, less than 1 inch. And even Essex, we're only expecting 1 to 2 inches right now for that location. So it's really going to be right along the pass and east. The further east you go, the stronger the winds will be and the more snow that you'll accumulate. So here's a map with our current wind warnings and advisories. Areas across northwest Montana, this includes Polson, Kalispell, Libby, Eureka, and all the points in between. We have you under a high wind warning, and that starts at 2 a.m. Wednesday morning and runs till 5 p.m. Wednesday afternoon. Now for the Flathead emission valleys, including Flathead Lake, that warning will extend through 11 p.m. on Wednesday. And then the lighter brown colors down around Missoula, Alberton, Frenchtown, and Hamilton, this is a wind advisory, and they start around 5 a.m. tomorrow morning and run until around 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. And you can get all the details on these highlights by visiting our website as well. So Friday morning, we will be looking at some clearing skies and the cold air settling into the valleys. So we are looking at a pretty chilly start to Friday morning for those that are getting out after the Thanksgiving holiday. And we're also going to still see some breezy winds. They're not going to be exceptionally strong. It's just coupled with the 10-15 mile per hour winds with the very cold temperatures, we are looking at some wind chill concerns. The worst of it will be along the Continental Divide and point in areas around southwest Montana, but most places in western Montana will have a chance to see those wind chills getting below zero. So just to wrap things up, we're looking at the strong gusty northeast winds for all of western Montana and potentially damaging winds across northwest Montana and Flathead Lake. And I did mention the freezing spray potential on the southwestern shores of Flathead Lake. And then the 10 inches or more of snow for Mirage Pass with the gusty winds creating low visibility due to blowing snow. And I didn't mention Idaho a whole lot in this briefing. That's the reasonings for that is the higher impacts from this storm are going to stay in western Montana. You may see some breezy, gusty winds going into the Camas Prairie, but they're not expected to be all that strong and nothing really to be concerned with at this time. And going back to similar events, we found one in November 9th and 10th of 1985, which created 50 plus mile per hour wind gusts with extensive damage around the Flathead Lake. Boats and docks were damaged, and there were reports of waves up to 10 feet, and many trees were blown down, damaging homes and automobiles. So this is not an exact event to what we're going to be expecting, but this is just the closest one that we can find So similar impacts and hazards can be expected with this particular winter storm compared to the one we had in 1985. And just to look at the next 6 to 10 day outlook, we will be looking at below normal precipitation, and we'll be looking at a high probability of continuing to see below normal temperatures. And here is our threat matrix again, weather threat matrix. Again, it's going to be blowing snow and wind for northwest Montana and portions of southwest Montana along the Continental Divide, and then wind and light snow elsewhere. That concludes today's briefing. Our next briefing will be this coming Thursday. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call. And we will also be emailing out this recording to everyone that's on our email list. Thank you and have a good day.